hour at the end of the countdown on your screen, I'll continue making the polymer clay tree. I'll see you later. Bye. Hi guys, I'm Carly from Carly's Creative Clay. Welcome. We are in the middle of a project at the moment. We're making a tree and we're going to put a koala in it. Now last week I showed you how to make the metal framework or armature for it and how to coat that frame in the brown for the wood, and also how to attach the frame into the base so that it was stable and also hidden. I continued with the pattern work along the tree, so this is where we've got to on it. The only other thing that I did to the woodwork was add a few little spirals for some knots, just 2 of them. Now I'm aware there is foliage on one of the branches. I'm going to show you how to do that for the rest of them. I did that because I've had I wanted to do a test basically to check that it was stable and looked right before I did it on stream. What I've not done a test on is how to make a koala, so I'm going to wing that, but you'll be amazed at how much of what I do on stream is actually the very first time I ever touch that subject. So yeah, I'm pretty good at winging it and just looking at things and seeing how they're put together. Before I get on with this project, I want to show you another project that I'm doing. It's for...
Hold on. Our connection has just faded completely. It's going red and yellow, and I can't tell you
green.
why.
Hi, sorry, our connection fell out there. It's
still red.
Oh, it was green for a second.
Yeah, no, hold on. Fairy Hedgehog says it's not a secret one, is it? Your other project?
No.
But,
Are we on? Can any of you guys hear me? Our computer's saying that we're dropping out.
Dropping a lot of frames.
Type yes if you can see anything.
It's just getting very juddery, it seems. I think you can be okay to go ahead, but it might be a bit stuttery.
You sound fine. Okay, sorry about that. If it's a bit stuttery, I'm sorry, our internet seems to be doing really weird things. So yes, I'm working on 3 projects at the moment. One is the tree. Then I'm doing 2 competition pieces. One of the competitions, you're not allowed to show what you're working on or the finished item until after it's actually... Am I back?
I can't tell.
We can't tell if we're back or not.
Sarah
right.
Jane Lowry on Facebook.
Oh, hi
yes,
Sarah Jane. Thank you for you coming and joining me. Yes, one of my projects I'm not allowed to share because it will disqualify me for the competition. I will share that once the competition's drawn in January, but the other one I can. So it's a fantasy piece, and it's an adult unicorn. First time me doing a horse sitting down, and looking at pictures I only realised that horses when they sit down are actually in a really uncomfortable position. What it would be to a human, because although their top end is facing forwards, their bum goes over onto one side, so there's a twist in the spine, and then they stick their legs out to one side. So if you see right in there, there's a second hoof on this side, but apparently that's how they always sit. So it was fun working all that out. What I have yet to do on it is I'm going to make a baby unicorn, probably either sitting or rearing near mum. I haven't decided yet, but there's a baby one to go on that, and then we're going to be done with it. So I'm really pleased with it. It's my first silver rainbow one, and I think it works out well, so I think I will end up doing that colour combination again. Right, back onto our tree. We've got 2 elements still to do before we do the koala. We've got the leaves, but also I want to mount a heart in the centre of the trunk. And what I plan to do is get some brown clay and twist it and make it look like it's a hollow that the heart's in. So we've got some hearts to choose between. Let me grab my tray of hearts. Now, I hold them up to the camera so you can get a better look, and I will go across slowly and down the bottom. So we got some lampwork pendants and some little metal charms. Now I'm thinking that the charms, I've blue tacked them down just so that it holds them in their place. It might be an okay size, so we could either go for a small charm, but what I'm inclined to do is go for a big statement piece, like possibly that sort of heart. But do you think that's going to be too big and look stupid? Not sure. I'm thinking
I think that might be a little bit.
it might be a bit big.
I can't tell you what.
We've got smaller options like that. Whoop. Which again could be big. I think I might go for one of the charms actually. What do you think? What's your favourite charm out of this lot? I'm thinking I'll go silver because I think the gold will blend in too much. Or go for, I know you've got a light reflecting, so let's hold it up. It's a the big ones are easier to see, yeah. But it's whether it's gonna really look weird stuck out so big. What was I gonna say? This one is abalone. I'm tempted for the little abalone heart, but I'm not sure. What about butterfly heart's a bit rubbish. What I'll do is any of these loops, I'll embed it in the back of the clay. What do you think? Too small?
I think that might be too small.
Too small.
I think the biggest ones. Fairy Hedgehog said the big one's easier to see, and I agree with that.
Yeah. What about something like that?
I don't know about the biggest ones. I like sort of somewhere in the middle. What does everyone else think?
What do you guys think? I'm thinking maybe this one. So it's somewhere in the middle. It's bigger than the charms.
Fairy Hedgehog says, I like the circle one.
You like the circle one? What number?
I think the last one you showed, the circle one, was the second one from the right. Hold on, let me see if I can turn
This one.
Exposure down.
Oops. Yeah, we're turning the exposure
number
down. Number 17. That was a heart, but...
It looks
yeah?
more circularly. That
Shall we do that?
the one that you showed, yeah.
Okay, we'll go number 17 then. Okay?
Yeah, I think that
That
easier
is
to see now.
easy enough. Right, let's get this lot out of the way. Will you put that out of the way for me? Thank you.
Says, I quite like that, but what do other people think? Yes, I'd like to know as well. But
If anyone else has got another idea, speak now or we're going with 17. No. No one. Right. Looks like 17's our number. So, I've got some little bits of brown. And what I'm going to do is first off make a back for it. So just take a few different colours and start to work them in together. And how I do that is form them into little sticks like that, and then just swirl it and make it so it's not one solid colour. You don't have to do too much of a mix. And what I'm going to do is push that into the gap at the back of that pendant, like so. There we are. Now we can then mount that onto our tree, making sure we got it straight. Push it in. There we are. Like that. And I can then get small bits of different shades of brown, and I'm only pinching off little bits because it's not a big area that was surrounding, and I want a few different browns to do this, like so. And if you were doing one of the solid backed crystals, you just make a little cup for it to go into out of clay, and then push that on and do the same as what we're doing here to seal it in. Right, so some little bits. Now I'm gonna twist them so they look more gnarly, like so. Let's hold it up. You see what I mean? It's a bit twisted and gnarly wood looking. And I'm just going to surround the outside of that heart in bits like that. So that's the first bit on. See? And it's going to hold the heart in place and also give it a more wooden effect, like you would see, you know, the little holes where things like owls have their chicks. That's what I'm going for, is an outside that looks kind of like that. So you're going to overlap your colours, just push them into place. So twist, twist, twist. And this is a good way of using up some of your scrap brown, because it, like this, it's a tiny bit of scrap with a few different shades mixed in, and that looks really good if you use things like that. And cracks in it when you twist actually look far better than if you had like a perfect swirl. So don't spend ages trying to get that looking perfect, because the imperfections actually make it look more natural. Does that make sense? Right, as soon as I got this covered around the outside, there we are. We've got more of a border now. We can also come in with a needle tool. Where's my needle tools? I usually get them out. Needle tool, pin tool, one of them, sharp point, and score in a few more ridgy lines on it all. So just come in and strategically put some lines. Don't make it uniform, because gnarls really aren't. But yeah, quick little in with your tool. And if you haven't got a needle tool, you can use things like pins from your sewing box, or cocktail sticks make good needle tools. So just by putting that marking in, it blends it in with the tree more. But make sure, can you see where it's overlapping at the back? You put some lines in there, or it'll look weird, like you got textured front. Sorry, you got a textured front, and then it stops and doesn't go round to the sides. So do keep a look and make sure you're texturing all the way around, and that it's all firmly stuck down, because it's far easier to stick raw clay to baked clay than it is to try and glue two lots of baked clay together. So it's worth pushing it down properly. There we are. I just think it adds an extra element to your tree. So now we're on to foliage. So let's take a drink of water. Let's get that brown up. It doesn't matter so much if I had little bits of brown in with my green, it just looks like twigs. But you know, cleanliness is good. Now, what you do is you get several shades of green. All your scrap green, like that's some scrap green. All that stuff is really good for this. And what you're going to do is basically mince it like you would when you mince up garlic. But you're going to do it with your tissue blade. So start out, chop it into relatively big chunks, like so. And then lightly toss them together, because you want to keep getting the mix of the colours, so that you don't end up with, oh sorry about that, it's a bit squeaky. You can hold one side firm and then go across like that if you want to do it far quicker. And depending on how small and detailed you want your leaves is how much you shred this down. But I've gone for relatively chunky because it holds a bit more stability, and it also shows the different colours up a bit more. So probably down a little more like that. Yeah. Now, with that in mind, I have done it that to a whole heap of it. So add this in with this lot, because I figured you didn't want to sit there watching me chop this amount of clay up. But you do it in small batches. Just make sure you've got some of each colour present before you start chopping it down. Hi Arty Hearty Life, lovely to see you. We are continuing with our tree. So we chopped all that green down. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, at least 3. I don't know whether I'm going to divide that front one there into 2 different clumps of greenery. But you just take them out and you're going to gently push it together so that it forms one clump that isn't crumbling off, and you can give it a shake and it all stays. And you're going to start to add that around those branches and push them into place like so. Now if you end up with a load of this over, it makes a good pattern clay if you roll it out smooth together. So never throw away unused clays. There's always a million projects that you can use it in. And like I showed with the base, you can also stuff it in the middle of your textured clay to give bulk without having to faff and make texture all the way through. Right, now you're going to need to pick it up and turn it upside down and turn it around and make sure you're getting a good look that the whole of your prongs of wood are covered properly. And you can be quite firm because this is the base for it all. Once we've got it firmly covered, we can then put a few more loosely on the surface. Does that make sense? I'll show you in a second. Right, coming round here. I still think my hands are definitely my favourite tool in my toolbox. There's just nothing that can get around and add stuff. Right, that's looking pretty well covered. Oh, down here. If it's not covered, if you've got bits like that, it's more likely to fall off at some point in the future. So it's better to get enough greenery around it and secure it than it is to keep it very sparse. There we are, a little bit more on the end here, and we've got the next one done. So once it's covered properly, like this one, you can then come around and get a few loose bits, crumble them up so they're a lot more loose, and just add a few different sticky uppy bits so it isn't like one firm ball like a green cloud. That makes sense? And if you've got a very sort of flat side to any of it, just add a little pile of greenery and it just makes it look more natural. Like that sticky out bit there was me adding more. You just got to make sure that you don't get green on your brown that you just done, and you don't smudge up all that texture work. But I think that looks good to me. So that's the second one. They go on pretty quick. Now Let's divide this out like this. And what I'm going to do is the koala is going to go in the middle of the V. So let's put this on here. Now, like I said, I've been working on 3 projects at once, and I know a lot of arts and crafts people who have multiple projects all in the works. They've started some of them, huge amounts of them, all half finished projects, and it's not the way I normally work. I normally complete one before I ever start another one, and I gotta say it's been really complicated, not just for the fact that they all take up space, but you've then got to focus on making sure that you've planned out all of each of the projects, and that you're not muddling projects and you're given enough thought time to all of them. It's not easy. I think it's why a lot of these people say they have a lot of trouble finishing a project, is because your mind's gone on to the new one and isn't actually taking time to focus and think about how you're gonna finish up. I hear chefs have that problem. They think so much about flavours, they're not they don't know what they're doing with plating. So having done it, and yes, it's possible, but I honestly would say try and complete your projects before you start your next project. You'll lead a happier, more fulfilled artistic life, or you will, in my mind anyway. Right, I may not even have enough green, so I will still chop up some more. If that's the case, I'm gonna do it after the stream, because you don't need to be watching all of that. But these branches were a bit spread out over here. But I think it actually works well that all the clumps aren't the same size, because trees, they do have a certain uniformity to them, the way they split out into forks of 2, but they don't with the clumps of canopy, really. Sorry about that. Hubby dropping things. There we go. I'm just trying to make it so that that top doesn't look so flat. Right. There we are. So, whoop. When you put your model down onto raw clay, it sticks to the counter. There we go. Right, so we got that that third one done. Now we just got that little one that's sticking out to do. And we might have enough green. Let's give it a go.
I said, you'd be surprised. I found very useful to watch a chef's chopping technique.
A what?
A chef's chopping technique.
Oh, yes. It is fascinating watching them chop up stuff. It's not easy. Blade work in itself is a skill, and it's one that you need to bear some thought to, because if you get it wrong, you hurt yourself. If you get your model wrong, you just got a wrong model that you got to fix up. If you get your blade work wrong, you go into A&E, and no one wants to go to A&E at the moment. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, it's something I've had to learn. But I really like tissue blades. I wonder if they would be as useful in cooking as they are in clay work. I don't know. I've never used them, but they were originally apparently designed for med technicians when they're slicing samples to put under the microscope. Yeah, I need a bit more green for this one. Shall I chop it up and then get it done so it's done? You can see what I mean. We've got just some of these branches sticking out. Let's grab some green. I keep my mixed up clay in drawers. It's such a useful thing to do. So let's go for some dark, some brownish, some lightish. Sorry about all the door noises.
Happy Life says, I mean, seeing your chopping technique with clay is just useful as anything you show.
Thank you. I'm so lucky to have people who are great friends and supporters of what I'm doing. It's very hard to not look at channels who've got millions of followers and just think I'm never going to get there. But I have to remind myself that was never the aim. The aim was to be able to document what I do, and if it becomes helpful to anyone, then that's even better. I got a really lovely message back when I started. Do you remember when I did the woolly mammoth? It was someone who said that they got a project to make a dinosaur, and I was the only woolly mammoth apparently that they had on YouTube. So they messaged me to say they got a good result making what I did, and I was like, this is so worth it. If you're chopping on paper, do remember that the paper will move around, and that can be a cause for your knife to slip.
That's cool.
Yeah. Makes it all worthwhile. And I'm now pretty addicted to my Wednesdays. I think I'm going to take some of this off because there's some light greens that I've not got in this mix that I want in that mix. So I'm just going to mix some of this green in with that. If that makes sense. Whoop. And then reapply. That's the good thing. Especially, this is why I bake in between. If you don't, you run the risk of messing up your progress. So once you've got to a stage where you like what you've done, I would advise baking and then carrying on. It's a good lesson in your clay life anyway, because when I started, I think the first year I didn't know that you can rebake polymer clay many times, and I was wondering, how do people get texture all over, like when they're doing hair on an animal, without smudging it? It just seemed impossible. Then I found out you can put it through the oven as many times as you want, so long as you don't exceed its stated baking temperature, you're gonna be absolutely fine. Right, I'm just turning it upside down to get to the bottom bits here. Right, here we go. Now, I am certain if I tried to make this tree without that wire framework that I put in it, it would have fallen apart in the oven. Pretty much no question about it. It's needing this structure that I put. So florist wire definitely should be part of your polymer claying kit, because it's heartbreaking going through all the work, putting it in the oven, and you're looking through the oven door with a bit of pride going, look, that's my thing, and you watch it fall apart literally in front of you. It makes you want to cry. That looks better, more full. There we go. Let's put a few more of these last bits on here. Waste not, want not. Make sure everything's stuck down properly, and then I'm going to give it a quick shake to make sure that nothing's going to fall off, because if it can fall off with a bit of a wobble, then it ain't on properly. I can feel that's loose. There we are. Right. There we go. And we have a tree. I think it works out really well. How long have we been at this? Should I start the koala today? Yeah? Right, let's put my green drawers back away. Now, first time ever attempting a koala. Gonna do it live on stream. I'm going for a slightly cartoony looking koala, even though the reference images I've got are actual pictures. So these are some of the koalas I've got. Can we have the koala, please? Right, you can see they're mainly grey, bit of white to the ears, and that big bulbousy kind of nose. So, since I'm working in grey, make sure my hands are not green. Like so. Right, shall we go back? So, these are the clays I've mixed up for my koala. We've got a medium grey, a white and a black. And everyone knows how much I love working in white. Yeah, especially white and black at the same time. This is going to be fun. I've got to make sure that I keep my hands wet. So the main part of it is going to be a grey body. So what kind of size? Let's hold it up to the tree so you can get an idea of size. Now, out of this, I'm going to make arms and legs. So, tree safely to one side, and we're going to roll the grey into a ball. Now, make sure that you condition your clay. If you don't know what conditioning means, you're going to bring it out into a thin stick and bring it back in together a few times just to soften it up. But it's a common mistake with new clayers to think that if your clay is soft, you don't need to condition it. That's not true. It's to mix in something called a plasticizer. It's a chemical that keeps your clay from hardening up, and it can clump because it wants to evaporate out of the clay. So you're just mixing it back through. Right, what we're doing is I'm visualizing 4 corners to this ball, and we're going to pinch at the side and roll out like so. The good thing I think with this koala is they don't seem to have much of a neck. How have I got a cat here? If you own a cat, your crafting days are gonna get annoying. They're not even allowed in here. Tweezers, hair out. Take your hair out. Smooth down where you just stabbed at the clay.
Don't have to be allowed in here to get in.
See? Right. Up the top. And we're doing another 4, the same size. Now, I'm probably just going to do, I'm not going to do defined fingers on my koala. I'm going to just do stumps. But I've got a picture. Have a look at this. This is koala hands and feet. Koala hands and feet. They have weird hands and feet. I know it's so that they can hold branches, but isn't that fascinating? I think I could actually do that L-shaped divide. It depends on how it looks at the end. I'll make that decision. Now, go back to normal. Right. Sorry, my throat is croaky. If you can see, they are not even, they are not in the corners. Don't think if that happens that you have to screw it all back up. Just
says, how interesting.
Move. Isn't it though? Nature is interesting. Just move the clay so that it is far more into the corners. See? And you're fine again. Right. So now we got this starfish with a bump. That the most rounded side is going to be the tummy side. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to fold these over. But we're going to try and not get rid of that bump. So we're putting more pressure onto the sides than pushing in the middle. Okay? Like that. Now, bring this side round, that side round, and you've got a basic body shape. See? Whoop. Line it all up, give it all a bit of, drop it apparently, give it all a bit of a smudge so it's where you want it. I'm going to bring these limbs slightly longer because they've got to fit around my tree branches. And I'm going to squidge in at the side because they're not that wide. So that looks more like it to me. Now, do koalas have tails? I don't think so, but I've got a nice little plastic model. No, no tail. I made that mistake before. So, now we've got him sat like that, what I'm going to do is get a little bit of florist wire. That's probably too long. I'm going to put that into the main body and then cut it so that there's just a bit sticking out. This is why you want to save your offcuts of florist wire, because they support heads on necks. That twinged everywhere. I'll pick that up off the floor afterwards. Remind me I've got wire to pick up. Right. So now we need the head. Where's my model? Like this. Right. So we want quite a round head. Like so. Now, I'm going to put that in place onto that spike and push it down firmly without actually... Is that head size right for body? I think it might need to be slightly bigger. Looking at that actually. Yeah, that'll do it. And it's good. This is why you want models, you want photographs, so you get your sizing roughly right. That could have been bad. Green on my hands when I'm working in grey is never going to be helpful. Right, head on. Now, I'm just going to get my koala pictures up on my phone next to me so I can have a look. Right, they have a little white V lapel, what are they called? Bib. So let's put that on first. I'm going to bring his arms out a little bit, get some white, and we're going to form a little V, but make the arms of it slightly long to go around the neck a bit more, like so. And we're going to tuck that under our koala's chin. Oops, that's too thick. So you've got to get it in between the shoulders and the head. So this is why I never bother measuring actually with rulers and stuff. I just have a squidge, put it in place and see. Right, I will hold it up and show you once I've got it on. Like that. So you're putting it in. Then let's get my ball tool. And I'm going to use that just to bring it round the shoulder. like that, and that's going to also help secure that neck in place, like so. Try not to trap any air in that gap. I know it's asking a lot to get your tool in there and to make it fit but not trap air, and it's not as terrible as if you did it with ceramics. This is why I'm saying make sure that you don't have green clay. Where are we? Can you see the green dot on it? Just there? Oop. It's so hard to focus. We got the best camera we can. There's green dot on it. Let me just tell you that. We can't get it. It won't visible, but whoever ends up with this will absolutely notice that. So just pull it off and use your tool to smooth it all down like so. Now it's up to you whether you're going to put hair in onto your koala. I'm probably not. So what's next? We got his little V tucks on, we got his arms and legs on, so we need to do the face. So we need some more grey. First we're going to put that little bottom jaw on, and what I do for that, here, probably best to bring up a koala. Can you see how the mouth is very defined, the bottom jaw? Yeah? That's what we're going to do now. So if we can go back, I made tiny little semicircles, so you just roll out a ball and use your finger to flatten that side, and then you get your thumbs to do that. That's how you end up with that nice little bottom jaw shape. We're going to put that in place where his jaw would be, like so. Then I think we better do eyes before we do the nose, because they're going to get in the way. Right, I've got me a selection of black beads of different sizes. Now koalas seem to have quite little eyes. I think I'm going to go with, let's hold these up. Yeah, I'm going to go with these little round black beads. So what I want to do is I want them on their side so you can't see the hole going through the bead. What I like is you can get these little bead pens, and they're not perfect, but they will hold a bead on them, and it's very useful, so then you can line them up where you want it. Sorry, I know it's off camera, but I just need to see where I'm placing. I will hold it up in a second. Don't forget you want them level with each other and not showing the bead back, and enough room for the nose in between. So not a lot then, but there we are. Whoop. Even with my bead thing, I still manage to get that bead not in straight. Have a quick twist around. I'm going to take it out, redo it actually. No, I'm not. Sorry about this, you're seeing fixing up. There we go. Right, two little black bead eyes and that big mouth. So I want to put a little top eyelid on. You can do under eyelids by taking a small piece, rolling it into a stick, and then tapering off the edges and putting that under the eye. But I'm not going to do an under eyelid on these. I'm just going to do a top eyelid. I think it will make it look cuter. So 2 little balls. Now remember how we did the bottom mouth, that bottom jaw? That's what we're doing, but in miniature for an eyelid and a lot thinner. So push your ball flat, put your one side against your finger, bring the other sides down. Now if you then find that the eyelid you made is too big, which that probably is, I make the second one, I put it down, and then we're going to cut the bottom off it like so. Right, 2 eyelids onto the board. I'm going to use my blade that's got green all over it. Clean your blade, Carly. There we go. Right, and I'm going to just cut, sorry, I'm going over the top of them, cut that bottom line off so that then they become smaller. Should have done them one at a time, they're not even. Let's quickly remake this. Sorry, you're having a day of mistakes. For the first time ever, I knew it was going to come one day.
Doesn't help that you're still dizzy.
But yeah, it doesn't help that I'm still dizzy. So, but you can see that even people who have been at it 5 years make mistakes, and polymer clay is very forgiving for mistake making. You can just fix that stuff up. Right, we've got our little semicircles, and we're just going to put that over the top of that eyeball. Still too big. Here we are, that'll do it. So a little line off the bottom and it makes them smaller. Right, should we try again? I am off the bottom, I know. Like that. I know it looks weird, but that nose will make it all come into place. Now you're going to curve that eyelid over a little so it fits the eye. Let's hold it up like that. Yeah?
The chin looks off centre though.
The chin looks off centre. Let's just move that over.
It's not between the eyes. Sometimes.
How's that?
Much better.
See what I mean? You can make mistakes and it all comes back in. Right, so we've got that big black nose to put on the middle. Then all we got is ears to do, and put him in his tree. So it's a big sort of teardrop shape, is that nose? Double check, yeah, right. That looks kind of like the right amount of clay there. So I'm going to roll that into a ball. And then take that ball and roll one end of it so it's more of a teardrop shape. Like that. And then that is going to go in the centre. Like that. Does that look koala-ish? Let's bring the picture up.
Still off to the right.
Whoop.
You want it right between the eyes.
There.
Beautiful.
There.
That's it.
That's the stuff. So now we need some ears. Now,
Are you going to make the ears floofy?
I am going to make them a little bit, but not much. But they're big ears. So.
Need it to be a bit too tufty on top.
So what you want is a big bit of grey. You want your 2 balls to be the same. That's got green in it. 2 balls that are the same size. Exactly the same size, because if you get them off, then they look odd. It's one of those ones that really stand out. So roll them into smooth balls, get rid of that join line. Like so. That jaw is still slightly over. There we go. I want that corner pointed a bit more. There we are, that's better. Right, ears. Now, next, 2 smaller little white balls. Again, same size, which they are not. You're working on tiny, tiny bits here. Right, 2 a lot smaller balls in white. You're going to smooth them out. Now, these balls we're going to just start to push into a disc, but not the finished thickness. You want it slightly thicker. It's just so that they lay flat. Okay? And then push on one side so that they will sit on the head properly, like that. Okay? Now, same with these little white balls. Push them flat and flat on one side, and you're going to line them up in the middle of your big ball, and I'll show you that in a second. Like that, like that. Right, I'll hold them up. So like that, yeah? Then we're going to come in with a ball tool. Now, where's my bigger one than that? Would it help if I got ready for this stream a little better? The problem is, I didn't know I was going to need this bigger ball tool. Give me, sorry, 2 seconds. It's a problem when you got lots of tools. I better find it straight after the stream if I give up looking right now. No. What's the size at the end of that? Sorry about this, people. Right, I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to use one of my other tools. My smaller one. Push in at the centre. Like this. And you're going to bring the white into like a dip with a lip around the edge. It is easier with a ball tool the right size, but you can do it like that. Can you see? It's like a little white cup. You want 2 of those. So again with this one, and I find tapping you get a better result than you do when you drag. You're more likely just to get these sort of tears in it when you try and drag it. So like this. Now we're going to decide which side's going to be the bottom. So I'd say that, but this is a bit, fiddle around with it, get them so you like them, like this. Now come in with your craft knife along that top edge. We're going to just press it down so it's slanted, and we're going to cut some fluff lines like so, and when you just bring them out they look much more scruffy, see? And you can go down the outside, down the edge, along the side, but make sure that you don't cut off the corner by accident. So again on the other one, from the top, lots of little slices to make it look like we got some fluffy ears going on. As long as they look uniform, you can really do it how you want. Now, we're going to get our koala and we've got to put the ears on, and you really need a ball tool. Now, if you don't have a ball tool, what I suggest you do is you get your cocktail stick, you coat it in clay, and then you pinch up to make a ball at one end. Bake that, and that works just as well as a ball tool. It's not as perfectly circular, but it will do the same sort of job. Yeah? So you don't need all the fancy tools. But if you do want ball tools, they are quite cheap online. Now, that lip that you made with the white, that's what you're going to push down towards the head. So, support the back of the ear and the head, use your ball tool and push it so that the white is joined and smoothed on. Then bring your ear around and make sure that it's got a little bit of a curve to it, like that. Okay? Repeat on the other side. Make sure that they are level with each other. You haven't got wonky ears going on. So again, pushing that white lip down towards the head. Bring those edges round so that it looks stuck and curved. Like so. Oop. Now I just got to straighten the ears up so that they look the same as each other. And that they're at the same height as each other. So that's just a tiny bit of fiddling around, just getting it looking how you want. If some of these slices have come out a bit, just put them back in. Be careful of your fingers, but you can put the fluff back in. I would say they look pretty similar. What do you reckon? Koala-ish? Now, lastly, I'm going to get a little pin, my pin tool, and put in a couple of nostrils on that bottom line.
It's right between two focal points.
Sorry, I'll hold it up. Do you see what I mean? Two tiny little nostrils. Right, so other thing we could do is using our pin tool, just
he looks so cute.
put a few lines in that fluff there, a few lines going down like that, so that it doesn't look like someone's literally just stuck a bib on, and that way you can fluff in those edges because they look a bit too sharp to me. I'll show you what I've done once I've done that. See what I mean with the neck? I've just, can you focus? Can you see it? I've just smudged in that edge so that it looks a little less crisp and put a few lines in. So I'm happy with him. Let's get these beads put them back in their pot. Get my white out of the way because we are going to put a koala in a tree. So let's get the tree. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to lean the tree so that I can see it. So that we all can. Right, support the tree. Decide what branch you're going to have him on. So probably that one. Oops. I'm going to turn his head actually. I think that will make him actually look a little better in the tree. So just gently twisted his head round. Now, I actually think if I twisted it the other way, then that branch would be better. Very, very silly. Twisted the head the wrong direction. So just gentle little taps, and you can turn the head round like that. And we're going to put him in the tree there, like that. Get the face, whoop, into place, and I'm just going to wrap those arms and legs round, and then I'll hold him up and show you. But I've got to make sure he's secured in properly, like that and like that. Right, okay, let's bring it up and give you a look.
It looks good to me. It's okay.
There we go.
You might want to get the light from a different angle.
Let's try and get the light from a better angle. Whoop. I might need to get a torch just so that you get some light on it. Torch, please. Thank you. Right. Take your screwdriver back.
Oh, sorry, it probably stuck to the
Thank
magnet.
you. Right. Torch. There we go.
Fairy Hedgehog says, oh yeah. Artie says, oh, so cute.
What do you reckon? I'm really pleased with him. I think he has turned out very, very cool, and I really love the tree that he's in, and it's not wanting to topple over, which is a new one. Normally I have to try and reweight it so that it all holds together properly, but which you can do. Add some more greenery towards the front if it's too back heavy, but I reckon we've got it with him. So, koala in a tree, everyone. If any of you actually make this, I would love to see what you do. I'm always happy to look at clay projects. I think it's a brilliant thing. Anyone needs any help, any suggestions that you've got that you'd like me to do in the future, do let me know. And have a great week, everyone. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next week. It's probably going to be a satyr goat man. So yeah, right, okay, like, follow, share, do all the good stuff like that. It really helps me out a lot. And have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.